All right. So what is today really all about? So today is all about going through the top 5 reports. We're going to reveal them to you. We're going to go through them, talk about them, tell what we like about them, what are some of the things that we think could be improved upon. And then we're going to just discuss the report. Some of the things that, stand out, for example, some things that you could take away from this challenge to your next challenge. And remember, the things that we're going to be discussing and everything is things that we notice. It doesn't necessarily, like I said, mean that this is always going to be the best approach. No, every single report is unique in a sense that there's different data, there's different dimensions. What type of data is it? Is it related to people? Is it related to products? You have to think about all of these small little things to, have the final result. Once we discuss these reports, we're going to be open up, have sort of like a little bit of a Q&A session with you guys as well. So if you do have any questions or anything you want us to talk about, feel free to post them in the Q&A section of the chat so we can go through them, talk about them, and hopefully give you the answer that you were looking for. If not, let us know. We'll try to adjust. And after that, the most important thing, of course, is we're going to announce the winner. After that, we're going to congratulate the winner. Good work always needs to be acknowledged. That's one of the most important things when it comes to challenges and these sort of things. But what's also important is we going to have a live kind of go through these reports, right? So that's going to give you also an understanding of what we do look when we're going through these reports, like the interactions that we're looking for, some of the options that we're going through, and these sort of things. For those of you who are not participants of the challenge, but you found the webinar and you decided to join in, so what the challenge or what the event is all about is we're going to the top 5 submissions for the November challenge of Onyx Data. The November challenge for Onyx Data was a YouTube dataset. And the YouTube dataset covered different channels, the subscriber counts, the view counts, the uploads, and so forth. So that is the data source we're going to be working with. And these challenges happen every single month. And one of the things we're doing as ZoomCharts is we're participating together with the hosts to provide as much help as possible to the contenders. Another thing that we're doing from our side is we, of course, give you the contenders free developers licenses so you can utilize every single aspect of the ZoomCharts visuals. If you haven't, well, I recommend you to do it. That's all I can say. All right. So I think without further ado, we can start to jump into the first one. So one thing to remember is these reports, the order that we're showing for it doesn't mean that that's the order that the top 5 is listed. These are just scrambled up right now, particularly for the reason, because otherwise the last part could be kind of obsolete, right? We start off with the first one and then go to the announcement. That would be kind of obsolete. So these reports are now in a scrambled order. All right. The most important thing. Yeah, go ahead.
For the winner at the end, don't stop participating in the next challenge. So you win this time, yes, good. But for the winner, please go keep doing the next challenge and the next, and fix all of the troubleshooting you're going to hear, and see yourself in the next time and the next time and the next time. Yeah, sorry, go.
No, it's definitely a valid comment. It's the same thing, right? It doesn't mean, for example, I've been with Power BI for a little bit over 5 years. have created hundreds of different reports. It doesn't mean that I don't get constructive criticism regarding my reports. I like to learn. I like to understand what I did wrong, what I could improve upon. And it doesn't mean that I know every single visual that's out there. Trust me, I work mainly with the visuals, but I still don't know all the 535, I think, visuals that are on the app source. That's ludicrous, right? Let's be honest. I know the visuals that I work with. So having the opportunity to go through the challenge reports and everything, it also shows me other cases. Oh, I didn't actually think about even this. This is a great approach on how I could tackle these things. So make sure you get some feedback for it, learn something, and most importantly, learn something actually useful, right? Learning something new, very easy. But it's something useful, that's a little bit harder, but that's the most important thing. All right, enough blabbering. Let's go to the first one. So this is one of the top 5 submissions. And in this report, so the way we're going to be doing this is there's going to be a few things from my side, there's going to be a few things from Mohammed's side, and then we're going to discuss them. We're We can understand what's, for example, common between us, and what are the things that we noticed when starting to look at the report. So I like the layout of the report. I would leave a little bit more of a, let's say, a breathing room, so-called, just to kind of have a unanimous experience. For example, these little gaps and these little gaps. These are small little things, but trust me, when it comes to that first impression, it does make an impact. So that is one of the things. The other thing that I noticed here is I like the approach of having a timeline, and this is actually a comment for a lot of you guys. I like the approach of having a timeline. Very good. But the thing that threw me off is if you look at the data set itself, the date itself is for the creation of the channel.
Yep.
So, and this is actually what a lot of you guys did. You adjusted based on the data set. You automatically assume that that's connected to an actual kind of timestamps, and started to go with revenue by date or subscriptions or views by date. So this is something that we kept in mind specifically to see who's going to catch it. So, and in this case, but even though it's regarding the creation date, the approach here is very good. What I like about it is that you actually added multiple layers, not just, for example, years. We had some reports which limited the users just to one level of the hierarchy. So in this one, you have the opportunity to, for example, select two of them and, drill down and investigate them a little bit deeper. So that is a good approach that I liked about the report. Now, the one that I like is the top 9 YouTubers. The countries now, that is a little bit tricky, and also about this one. So the one thing that let's say, deducted the most points from the final score for this case was the sort order. One of the biggest issues with donut charts in any single report is that you're sorting it not based on the value. And the main reason for that is because you're making it hard for the end user to understand who's the best, who's the worst, and how are things in the final order. Because, for example, in order to properly read the chart, I would basically have to understand that, okay, that's the biggest, that's the second, now that's third, that's fourth, that's fifth. So you see how I have to jump up and down, back and forth, and these sort of things? You want to eliminate these. So make sure you always adjust the sort order so it's easy for the end user. Now, what's also good about this one is they have a very basic but very good information overlay. It quickly explode. It's getting late, right? My tongue is starting to twist. So it has the opportunity to open up the navigation bar and reset the filters if you have filtered something out. What else? Before I move on to the next pages and a few other things, Mohammed, your comments so far?
Yeah. Also, when the reset button you mentioned to filter everything, okay, this one, you remember it didn't work for all the pages because it jumped into the first page. That's the first thing. Other thing is when you click on yes, click here. Yes. No, in the top arrow to get the menu.
Yep. Okay.
See, you have the menu here, Abdurrahman. So if you hide the pages at the bottom, because I have 1 of 4, 3, 4, 2 of 4. If I have a menu, hide your pages because I don't need to navigate them from the bottom. This will give you also a little bit extra, space on the full screen because you have the pages here, same as the pages on your menu. And we talked about the map also because something when you click on the map, it doesn't give you actual filtering because if you click, for example, from Egypt, I'm from Egypt, so if you click in Egypt, I don't see any filtering here. I don't see anyone. While actually in the database we have 2 YouTubers, that from Egypt. And another thing is, Abrahman, I think you're not Arabic, so I thought that you will be the one who's going to correct the wrong on the names, that didn't work in English. So when you receive a database, guys, always do your thing, add something that you, for example, for the names you have English name, you have a Chinese name, you have an Arabic name. Search for the name, try to correct it in English, maybe add 2 parentheses saying this name was corrected, from Google or from anything, because if I'm using this report and I find the question mark, or any kind of strange, text, I won't be continue. I won't trust the report, right? Right. I will say, okay, there is something wrong. I won't trust this data, and I'm going to search on another engine for the data I need, right?
Mhm.
Continue.
No,
Yeah.
nothing really much. The only thing that also stood out a little bit here is I like the approach that you went here, that you allow the user to switch between two different views. But the thing that threw me off a little bit is you have different formatting options for different styles of buttons. So in case, for example, if you have it selected, you can see it's concatenating. So I have 3 dots there. If I hover over this one, I actually see the full name. So the full name does fit in the button. But if I again select this one, then I can see this one. So there's really no way for me to fully understand, okay, but what does this tab actually mean? It's a small little thing, but trust me, these small little things is what makes the whole experience better or worse. And the same approach here. The other thing that I went with here, I noticed it here specifically, and then I only noticed it here afterwards, because this one doesn't show it as dynamic as much as this one. When you're going for top and bottom approaches, always think about the same thing we talked about in the first page, and that is the sort order. So when you're looking at the top, you always want to understand who is the best. That's the first one you're going to have there. And when you're looking at the lowest, you also want to make sure that the sorting now is in reverse. So you're starting with the one that's the lowest one. It's a small little thing, but you want to make sure that user has to spend as little time as possible to get to the point that he's looking for. So if I set that I want to see the top 7, I want to see, okay, who's going to be in the top 1? And I want to see the order based on that specific criteria. So those sort of things. Other than that, yeah, go ahead, Mohammed.
Yeah. Also for the pages, first page, second, third page, it's the same structure. And if you want me to navigate through your pages, go to the first page. Now navigate from the bottom, 1 to 3, from 1 to 4. I'm navigating now, and all of them is the same structure, this first. And you can see here, once you navigate from the bottom, it's always giving you the menu on the left, hiding the information. So either hide your pages and navigate through the menu, or do it from the bottom down. But my point is, if you are going to do the first page and the second and the third page the same, do it as a bookmark first from the first page. Add them like a bookmark, like the last page, so I know it's the same structure but different information.
Yep.
Because at the end, every time I thought, this is the same page, different page, like what you did here in the last page for the high earning and the low earning. You did it as a bookmark, which is great because I know I'm in the same page but different information. Exactly. Always make me interested when I go to the second page. Oh, it's totally different, something else. Yes. So.
All right. I guess we can move on to the next one.
Yes.
All right. So this is going to be the next one. And I got to say, the contender who submitted this for work, even before, go announcing all the winners and everything, I want to say I'm very proud of the contender that's submitting this report. The contender has been with us with every single challenge, and one of the things that I like about it is you can see the progress of people. I love seeing how people actually, get better and better at using the tools and how they learn different things. So first off, kudos to the contender. You know who you are. So kudos to you for never giving up, getting all the feedback, and going through it. So that's one of the things. Now, as far as the report itself goes, what I like about it is it's not too overcrowded. That's the way I see it, right? It's similar to the previous one. It's not too overcrowded. Now, the one thing that I like about the navigation is that it's always going to give you an understanding of which page you're on, because it always keeps the menu, for example, or the pages visible at all times. What's also good about it is there is a little bit of color coding in it. So subscribers are in red specifically. The views are in an orange gamma. So you can see the visuals are in orange. and the uploads are in yellow. So it gives me an understanding, okay, so there's something changing between all the pages. So it's not all in one singular color, because otherwise I have to always look back at the page navigation and understand, okay, is it uploads? Is it viewers now? Is it, what am I sitting at? This gives me an understanding that there's a color associated with a property. And I can always go and look, okay, it's yellow, so it's going to be uploads. Oh, it's orange, so it's going to be viewers. So that sort of thing. And I like about it. That's one thing I like about it. Now, what else? We do have the map, and in this case, if we use the map, the geocoding has been done correctly, because as Mohammed said, if we choose Egypt, we do have 2 YouTubers in the dataset. So kudos for making it right. What's also good about this is the map itself. I like that you have used the other slice. And the main reason why I like it, and it's the same approach here, is one of the biggest issues when it comes to donut charts, right? And it's usually a love and hate relationship when it comes to donut charts. There's usually no in between. I don't know why, but it is like that. And having that other slice allows you to focus on the top 5 without really always saying, you know, this is going to be the top 5, this is going to be the top 5. You're limiting the amount of information that the users see when they first open up the visual. They always have the possibility of going down and seeing more, but you limit their starting point. That's what I love about it. The timeline, same approach as the previous one. Like I said, this one's a bit tricky, right? Because it's now really connected to the date. We do have the possibility of looking up a YouTuber through the search filter. And this is one thing that I actually noticed a lot of contestants are not starting now to notice is when we first participated in the challenge, a lot of the slicers were just drop downs. Now, a lot of people are finally adding the search function. I know it's a very well hidden feature. Trust me, I know. Because I don't know for what reason, but we all know, right? Power BI decided to add the slicer under the ellipsis of the visual, not in the formatting options.
But you're lucky, guys.
Go ahead.
Like this in the old days, we didn't have this search. Remember we have to.
Oh, we didn't have anything.
We had to do ducks and special visuals and just to have the search button. So
it was fun. Let's just say it like that.
Yeah, this is one of the things I want to comment for all the people who participate. When you choose any visual, please go and try every option in this visual. Try everything. Just as it do have like a dummy page, or test page that you hide. And before you add this page to the final, go test every single option, and every single preference in this visual. You will find things that sometimes you forget it's there. You need to go more. Okay, but really go check all the options, because for most of the options, there is a very lovely options in the Zoom chart while you are doing. It's called reset button. That you don't need the back button. You don't need the zoom out button. Okay, so you can just add the reset button there without going every time to the top of the page and reset everything. Because all of you had just made a new button called reset everything. But there is, if you check the options, you will find that you can remove the zoom out, remove the back, and have reset for only this visual. This will give me the option that I choose this and go deep, but okay, I want to reset this option, this visual, but I need to go and keep the other filters on the same in the other part of the page. Also, the donut chart. If you are going to choose the donut chart, because you will feel that your report is empty in the beginning, you can add a small card in the middle of the donut chart that give you, for example, number of the name of the first one, first rank, or giving you some new information inside the donut, because it's just big, and at the middle it's like nothing is there, and I will never know until I go deep and deep and deep, and then I find also there is a drill down until you find the last space, like this space. Yes, this space now, the smallest one, you can add here in the middle something in the middle of the donut, to give you more information, about the thing you select, giving you how many inside this donut. Add any kind of information inside the donut, or change it to pie chart. Then that's my opinion, because it's
that's the alternative. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes when you didn't choose anything like now, you feel it's wow, this space inside the report is empty, right?
Yeah. It's always, you need to think about how things are laid out, right? And if you look at a report and you see a lot of empty space, it feels like, is it something that's going to get filled up? Is it left on purpose? Like, what's the reason for not utilizing the space? And one thing you have to remember as a report developers, the most precious resource that you do have is space. You don't have unlimited amount of it. And that's the tricky part when it usually comes to data visualization, is to figure out what exactly you want to showcase and how to showcase it with the limited amount of space that I have. Because one thing that I remember when we started off is, as myself as well, is we just threw a lot of information out there. A lot of different visuals, a lot of different layouts and so forth. And then you afterwards start to realize, okay, I need to narrate a story that the user is going through. And that's when it starts to get more complex, but the gratification is a lot bigger.
Uh,
Yeah, go
Something
ahead.
else we're thinking about the years. You have filter on the left, on the like
Yeah,
slicer on the left, while also you have at the top you have the visual that you can filter the year from this visual. So this is great, but I think you can, like take the cards and put it on the left, and free the space at the top for the report. This will be great because now you have the same filtering slicer or filtering system for both the visual and the slicer.
yeah. Or, if you get rid of the slicers, move the navigation up here, make the map a little bit bigger, make this one a little bit bigger. So think about always the chart layout itself.
Or add it like a
So,
timeline, a small one. Add it like a
yeah,
timeline, small one okay, you can add it next to the top slicers that you have, and I can go navigate through these. This will save space for another thing on the new report here.
yeah. The last thing about this report, the thing that I personally think would improve it a lot is, so currently, if we look at these cards right here at the top, they are dynamic. So based on the selections, if I go to a specific rank or something, you can see it tells me what is the highest yearly earner and everything. But if I go to a different page, I'm still talking about the same thing. So one thing that I felt is kind of missing from it is, if I go through different views, like for example, subscribers, viewers, and uploads, that is the thing that I'm focusing on. Because we have a specific card for it, right? So we're kind of putting emphasis on it. But the rest of the cards are kind of stuck on another metric. So that's one of the things that I would say are very important to, again, complete that story. That's the only thing that for me in this specific report that felt like it feels like it's lacking behind. That's the feeling that I get from it. But other than that, it's a great report that allows you to not only use it with the visuals, but also the slicers to kind of look for a specific YouTuber for a specific country. Because let's be honest, not everyone knows exactly where in the world a specific country is going to be located at. Well, it's just the way it is, right? If you look where, for example, so I'm right now in Latvia, Riga. Now, how many of you can specifically tell me where I'm supposed to go to find Latvia, Riga? Right? It's not that simple, because you know where your country is. That's easy. But every single other country, some of us do know them, some of us don't know them. So having an option to find a slicer that just allows me to type in the name of the country that I'm interested in is a lot simpler than, leaving me at the hands of gods and praying that I can find the right country and not embarrass myself.
Yes. Yes.
So it's again, it's those small little things, but they do make a lot of difference. The other thing that I noticed about the map is it's a very subtle thing, but one of the things that the map visual does by default is zoom in to where the data is. And for example, if I select, for example, T series, you can see I zoomed up so close that I have just one part of India. So what I would do is, under the formatting options, I would limit the maximum zoom level. So how close can I get to that country? Of course, you have to play around with it and find. So for example, if I find the same Latvia, right? Let's see who's in Latvia. So we had one YouTuber. Great. So you can see for a small country like Latvia, this is fine. But you have to take into consideration there are different size countries.
Yes.
So you have to find something optimal. So that's one thing. Other than that, it's a great submission. I like the most. I like the drill down approaches and everything because that's what I'm really looking for. For Mohammed, I don't know anything else you want to add.
No, really, it's a great report. Thank you very much. Really, it's great.
All right, let's move on to the next one. And of course, you guys as well. If, like I said, if you do have any questions, if you do have any comments, you can freely add them to the chat. And if it's a question, then just post it in the Q&A section so it's easier for us to find it. All right, what else? Next one. Well, what can I say? As far as it comes to design, this is the most interesting one, right? Because it actually looks like a YouTube page that I just opened up for a specific video. The one thing that threw me off the first was, I don't know, it may be just me, but all the KPIs are at the bottom, right? If you think about how reports are usually created, is you focus on the KPIs at the top because those are the things that you're looking for. And then you use the visuals to drive the KPIs that are at the top. So think about it as the same way as you would read a book, right? You start off with the first row, that's where you see all the KPIs, and then you have things to explain it. That's the one thing that got me here. But what I'm very happy about in this report is that this one actually captured that this date is for the year of creation.
Creation, yeah.
So a little golf clap for you. That's a good one. So we really like the fact that you actually noticed this. Now, as far as everything else goes, I like the way that you added the drill down here. The one thing that I would adjust a little bit is the spacing. You do have a lot of space between the columns, and it feels like there's a little bit of wasted space. Like there's a little bit too much white room between them. It feels like there should be another column. That's the thing that threw me off the most. If it would be a little bit smaller, because right now if you look at it, it looks exactly like the width of another column that's supposed to be there. If it would be a little bit bigger and the space would be a little bit smaller, it would be more visually appealing. That's the only thing. I love the fact that you can switch between the channel types and categories to the top YouTubers. It's a small little switch, but hey, it allows me to focus on what's important to me. The other thing is right here, you're even highlighting it and saying that YouTube earnings down here. And when I open up the report, this is what I see at first. So somebody is earning 0, yearly, and monthly. Great results. So kind of felt like, that it's not maybe working. So
why this guy should be in this list, right? Yeah.
It's just the feeling that I got. I'm not saying that it's incorrect. That is correct based on the data. It's just the first feeling is like, that guy isn't doing very well. But you could explain that, for example, right now, it wasn't previously that easy, but with the new release of the November version of Power BI, one thing that I recommend for all of you to check out are the reference labels. That is definitely a game changer that's coming into the Power BI. And that would help you to, for example, explain who's the YouTuber and showcase that maybe he joined very late in 2023. So he's not generating enough traffic or something. So these small little things, again, could help me understand it fully. What else? This one.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go. It's fine. Go later. It's not good.
The thing that got me tricked here, I'll be honest, it got me tricked here, is I'm very used to seeing the question mark symbol as one of the icons for a button. So what I did is I hovered over it and I started to mash the question mark, but nothing happens. So I was like, maybe the order of things are incorrect. But it turns out there's actually an active tooltip that explains things to you. I was mashing the button as fast as possible, and multiple times I was reloading the report, and I was like, well, this button's not working. And only then I realized I actually left it there, and I started to look at the rest of the report, and I was like, oh. So what I felt like is you specifically emphasize that we move them here, but I would tell the user that you need to hover over it.
Yes.
Because this is usually a place where a button is located. And that's just one of the things that, I just sat there and like, Well, it's not working.
23. Other thing is the respond time in this report. It's
Hmm.
it's taking too much time. I find that you have too many complicated, no, too many ducks that's slowing your report. Not necessary every time for everything you need to have a new measure. And always open the performance analyzer and check and click on your report and check the time for each button and each slicer and how much time it takes. For
Right here.
example, yeah, yeah.
All right. And I'll keep going. I'll just showing them in
Now
the background where they can
you
find it.
can see, for example, in this report, when I clicked on the analyzer, I find to click on one thing individual, I have image, shape, slicer, textbook, button, card, button, button. Many things has been affected by this selection, which is slowing down your response time. So always check if the ducks I'm using or things I'm using, is it going to be benefit the report? Because one of the things I love when anyone to use the report is how fast is it? You go to the website or you go to find the information, you need it faster. So always consider that the client or the customer is going to use your report need to find the information faster. And
Hmm.
every time there is a lag or delay time, one time, three times, four times going, oh, okay, you will ask someone else, please give me the information. I don't want to use this anymore. And this happened to all of us, by the way. Believe me, in the beginning, oh my god, it was slow like a turtle. You click one time and you spend time waiting for it. First reports we create like this, guys. Really, first report I was click and wait, and I was telling God, wait, it's coming. Yeah, you're like wait, it's coming now. Just and he click another slicer. Okay, it's coming now. Just give it time. And because I was doing this big ducks, big filtering, big slicers, and it was taking time. At the end, I said, okay, no, we need just papers or PDF or PowerPoint. It's faster for us. Then you start developing your report to be faster, quick respond. It will make everyone work with this one. And also, by the way, even you, when you're changing or have an update on your report and you
Hmm.
want to check some information, this work quick for you when you are checking few information also while you are working. Because consider your report that you are building it cumulatively every day. I have an update this day, I have an update tomorrow. There is a project I'm working in, and we started, I remember, with 300 something row for one report. Now we reach 12 million row, and we have 19 report like this. 12 million, 9 million, I swear, 3 million, 4 million. The cumulative of the whole row is now, I don't know, over 20, 30 million. But when you click on any slicer on the report, it's fast response. We minimize the ducks only when we need it. And also, if you're following IVIS for the previous webinar we did, the query part, how to manage your data, to make it respond quickly with you. Okay.
No, it's all good. I'm just,
Yeah,
playing around with
yeah,
your
yeah,
report in the
you are
background.
playing it now. Yeah, you are playing it now, but in the beginning, until it's collecting the data, it's taking slow. But
Yeah,
once you work with it a few times, and believe me, the customer doesn't have this 1 or 2 minutes to be patient while you are using your data. If yesterday, if you are driving a Ferrari and you just in the first minute and you find it going 20 kilometers, believe me, Ferrari or Bugatti, you will say no, I don't want the car, right?
that's true.
Okay.
No, but it is true. Like all these little things and having the performance analyzer open in the back, just looking at the queries, understanding how things are actually getting, sort of like impacted by every single measure that you do, every single filter query that you add on top of it, and everything is very important to understand and create a report that is not only efficient, but it's also fast. Because one thing is you have to think about it as sort of like a two-dimensional kind of, let's say, two-dimensional plane. First of all, you have to think about how the data is being loaded, aggregated, and passed back to Power BI. That's one of the things, right? Once you got that right, the next part is the visuals. Once you add the visuals, you need to create a visual that allows you to tell the story in the quickest way possible. So it's always trying to have a sort of like an in-between way between these two without losing one or the other. You have to find the middle ground which is suitable for the end user. That is one important thing. But yeah, for this one, like I said, the one thing that really stood out to me is after seeing, I think we had close to 100 or something like that submissions. After seeing all the super red ones and with the dark themes, this one was a nice fresh breath of air that actually looked like a YouTube page, like a actual YouTube video with all the statistics and analytics. So this could be something that you couldn't incorporate into the YouTube analytics. That's the way I see it.
And one of the things, really, in this report, you didn't use too many colors. You didn't use really. This is
Yeah.
what we love about this report. It was, I don't know, the combination of the colors was very good, really.
All right, let's go to the next one. All right, this. Well, the first thing that I started to, because I read it from top to bottom. So first thing is use navigation to explore more. Great. So we have a YouTuber view and we have a subscriber view, just to understand things about the subscribers. So this is good. We have two different views and I can understand it. The one thing that threw me off a little bit is if you specifically tell the users to use navigation to explore more, to basically go between YouTubers and subscribers, why do you add a back button here? It feels like it's unnecessary. It's a small little element, but it feels unnecessary since you already, quite frankly, tell them straight to the face, use this to navigate, right? Adding an unnecessary button like this, the first thing that I thought is that it's a leftover drill-through button, like the back button that you usually get from a drill-through.
Yes.
So if there's no specific reason why you're adding it, just keep it out of there. It's as simple as that. Now, what else is, I like the approach that you did here. So with the clean and just very simple approach. That's what I liked about it. But with the clean and simple approach, one thing you have to be cautious about is creating something that contradicts itself in a way that it confuses the user or gives you a bad experience. And in this case, even though I like the approach of splitting them two, as soon as I select something in one chart, it basically renders the other chart completely obsolete. Because you're always going to be stuck on one specific one. You get the final number, but you're always just seeing one big red dot. That's it.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and I know it's a little bit tricky, it's also tricky with native visuals, but the color coding. So if entertainment is in dark red, entertainment shouldn't be in light red right here. If I go deeper, now entertainment is in blue even. So it does take a little bit of time to manually adjust it, but the end result is what you're going for. These little things is what affects the final result. But I like the approach that you have, just very simple bar charts. You have the donut charts that allow you to investigate it and the sort of like an overview count. The other thing is you also have here use options to choose a count category and a country. If I choose a category, then it basically renders these two obsolete again. So be careful about what information you place into the slicers. I like the idea about the report, but these little things got me frustrated a few times.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Continue. Also, go check the options because most of you keep the question mark over ZoomCharts visuals, and there is an
Yep.
option there to remove it because if I'm working and I click, I will think as I've said, oh no, this is a new information. I will need to click there and we'll have new information from the report. But once I click, oh, it's telling me this from ZoomChart, but you can remove it. There is an option there that you can hide it if you don't want it, and in replace you have other, I think, 5 or 6 buttons that you can show or hide from the ZoomChart visual. And last thing, most of you guys don't be like always. I saw when you are getting to have two Zoom charts, you choose the same two. So you start with a pie chart. The next to it is pie chart. Donut chart. Line chart or time slice or the time. So you always have one, copy it and add everything on it. If you don't need it, don't add it. If you think that this will be a copy paste, think about something else. Don't add
Exactly.
two things who have the same data there and there is no benefit from it. At the end, you will stuck with, okay, I add this one red and the entertainment there is blue. The one is, if you think the visual doesn't give you the story, don't add it. Think different. And when I see this report, really, I think this report, it's great if you just organize it to tell me the story from the beginning. Because I love that you have all these line charts in the top, then you have the pie chart, the donut chart at the bottom. But if you organize it to tell me the story, like the category of the YouTuber, and then how many of these are getting the money. Give a story at the end of the donut chart. So even when you are filtering, you can go one by one until you have end of your story.
So in this case, what I probably would have done is I would add, let's say, even the same donut chart. I would add it as one of the first. I would add an option of switching between the viewers, the subscribers, or whatever metric add on top of it. So that's the driver, of course, because these ones are basically they're not there to filter. I would say it like that, right? They're there to highlight the specific position where the YouTuber is located. So the drivers are these ones, but in this case, you're putting on the detailed information first and then the drivers for the information. That's one of the things you should also take into consideration. As for the subscribers, well, you do have a map, you have the table. The one thing that I would definitely do is, and this is something that a lot of people don't pay enough attention to, is the formatting of the numbers. It's a very small little detail, but telling me if this is 245 million or 2.45 million in a blink of a second ain't that easy. So just adding formatting to the numbers so it's easier, again, for the end user to read the values, especially this one, right? Come on. What is it? It's not that simple to tell me straight away. Is it, again, 228, 2.22 billion? What is it? It's not that simple as you would think.
And
So
the total at the bottom, see the total now, I don't know if it's trillion.
yeah. So this one, if you give it, it's basically a tongue twister.
Yeah, and by the way, you don't even have the the comma for the thousand. You can change it to be like 2.2 billion for each one of them, or million. And
you can
it's
either
easy.
add the
Just
shortening.
go for the options, guys. Really, go check every single option for every visual you have. By the way, every update with Power BI, there's a new options. How we know sometimes, not even from the announcement, that we go check the options and we find out there's like a new twist here, a new options here, changing something here. And the map, if you want to talk about the map, really, the map is good, but see the big circle. I don't know if it's covering US, or India, because this is the biggest country. So I think it's taking the size, I don't know, by the number. Change the circle to
It's
something
by the
else.
number of YouTubers, yeah.
Change the circle to something else. So at least I can see which country is behind it.
The way I would work with the map, and this is for actually multiple reports, is when they went with the simple approach of just plotting the points and showing a value on top of it. As an informational view, I would first of all, play around with the min-max sizes so that I don't get any overlaps. I would play around with the cluster distance, so how many nodes I'm bringing up together. And on top of the node itself, I would add a country, so that gives me an identification of how many are there within it. And that would also, for example, if I have the top 5 in this circle, it would tell me, for example, I don't know, if I have 1 or 2 countries, it would tell me what are the countries underneath it, and what's the split between the countries. So it's always about thinking, what else can I provide, and if it does add the value to it. In this case, I think it actually would. The one thing that I like is this report, sure, it does have a lot of text in multiple places, but you're trying to navigate the user. You're trying to explain things to your user. And this is very important for all the reports as well. This could have done a little bit differently. So, for example, with information overlays or something like that. So it's not always there, but I like the approach that you're going with this. So kudos for doing this, definitely. And, remember, the things that we're talking about doesn't mean that these reports are bad or anything. These are just things that I think me and Mohammed both would actually be happy to receive when we started off. Because when you showcase the reports, sometimes you get actual feedback. Sometimes you get, no, it looks good, right? But behind your back, they're like, I can't read anything in it. And you're like, well, tell me that. I can fix this. Just tell me what is wrong with it, right? Because one of
And
the things, yeah, go ahead.
really, guys, I think our report at the beginning was worse than what you're doing here. Believe me, you're doing great. Really. Our
There
report
ain't
at the beginning, really, it was.
there ain't no way I'm gonna be showing that report to anybody. Now that stays in the graveyard. It's where it's supposed to be.
So really, you're doing great. You just need you just need to continue. Seriously, everyone from our participant, please continue. Don't stop. Continue. Really,
Yep.
I want everyone to continue what he's doing because this is great. Yeah. FP
All
20.
right. The final one. So what do we have here? We have multiple pages. We have the information overlay. All right, good. We can close it. We can see that by the looks of it, what I think is probably it's using field parameters because we're allowed to switch between different values that you're showing. You're kind of hiding these ones, I felt initially, because you're highlighting the values, but you're hiding the categories that you're showing. Then we have actually an option to dynamically say what is going to be the top, which is a great addition to it. But the tricky part with this is, and this is one of the things that I've stumbled upon multiple times and why I need to reconsider the way I approach things, is when you're using field parameters and when you're using the highlighting that's within the visuals, right? So for example, I highlight this channel right here. If I go through different views, so subscriptions, and suddenly there's nothing there. Because the same channel is not in the top 9 in this case for that selected category. So this is one of those cases where you have to reconsider, okay, sure, it's a little bit easier to do this, but for the end result, it might confuse the users. I can get away from it very quickly. I could select one channel and deselect it, right? It gives me everything back. But you can see the experience from an end user perspective, right? I selected something, I started to move. What I expected is to see the channel's performance in all of those, but it's suddenly disappearing. So you kind of have to think about these little things. There is always a way out of
Yeah,
it. Yeah, go ahead.
I think you can add also like a small dynamic header will tell you that this is not within this category. You can add a small header dynamically, text
Yeah.
box, to tell you that we need, go navigate through, average monthly subscription, everything, to tell you, okay, this is not in this category. At least to tell him, yeah, you choose correctly, but this is not within this category that you choose.
Yeah, that's also an
Okay.
option.
Okay.
You basically have to find a way for a user to understand, okay, what happened? Why don't I see it, right? And it's the same thing that the thing that got me a little bit is you had the table, which is based on views and subscribers, which are completely different, like, for example, subscriptions, views. So I felt that this one would not only showcase the top here, but it also would affect this one. Because otherwise, this one feels very static. It does filter the information, but it feels a little bit disconnected with the rest of this page. But what I like about it, you do have the donut chart, of course, to filter out, find a particular channel and these sort of things. You have the dynamic top, which I really like. These ones I would definitely try to emphasize a bit more, because otherwise they do feel a little bit hidden. So, for example, the metric itself, because this is a great feature, don't get me wrong. Look at it, guys. You're looking at YouTubers, and you quickly switch to countries. It's an amazing feature. It's very simple, but it's an amazing one. So the same way as you added for the values, add them right here underneath it or on the side. Just make sure that it's visible. Don't hide them. Be proud about what you did, right? Now, for the timeline, you can, of course, play around with it and find the associated data with it. Again, this is a little bit tricky view because all the dates were related to the created date. So that's one tricky part of it. But as far as the other pages go, so we are looking at regions, for example. This one is a good page, but one thing that, left me kind of wanting more is this feels like an infographic. There's nothing dynamic about it. I can find the countries, I can click on it, but nothing reacts to anything.
Changes.
Yeah.
I
So
would love this one change. By the way, you are the only one who get pictures for each YouTube channel.
yeah, that's definitely
The
something to
first
note.
page. I love it. If I'm searching your report and I find the page, even if the name is wrong, I will be looking to the picture that thumbnail picture you have, and they'll check, yeah, this is the page, or no, this is not the page. So,
Yep,
so
definitely.
this is good, really. This is good.
So regarding the YouTubers, this felt a little bit more like a drill-through page, I'll be honest, because it's a massive table with all the properties. But, it has its purposes. And this one I actually really liked. Not from perspective of exploration, but it sort of felt like a page for conclusions, right? And I think it's actually, what is it? Analysis and insight. So yeah, this felt like it gives me some summarized version of the report. And that's what's good and interesting about it. So we went here. You have as far as the info button goes, the only thing that I could say about the info button, and I think Mohammed can agree with me, I would really love for you to add the option, not just to force people to press on skip tutorial, but actually use, for example, the image itself, the background, as the button, so I can click anywhere and close it. Or use the same information button. So make people not make any additional movements to close it. Give them that opportunity, because otherwise what I did is, it might be different for other people. For me, the first thing that I did is, if I open it up, I'm like, okay, I'm going to click again. Doesn't happen. First, top right, because that's where we usually have the X, right? Yes. Doesn't happen. Oh, skip tutorial here. Okay. So that was my third movement. And that's what you always have to take into consideration.
And it's coming
the
on
pattern.
The top,
Yep.
It's coming on the top left, where is the red plus the black, so it's hidden. See, you have
on different pages.
Yeah.
Exactly. On the last page, for example, when it's all black, well, right, you have it here. It's kind of a little bit visible, but make it stand out. If you make it as a separate element, just make it stand out. Or use the same button so it's easy for a user to understand. Okay, clicking once opens it, clicking again closes it. That's it. All right, what else? I like what they did here, and this is what you already talked about. They actually hit the rest of the pages. Yes. So they used bookmarks to transition between the views. And they don't have all those pages right here.
So I would like also if he remove the first page,
Yep.
Because you have very good, great 2 pages. So if you remove the first page, because I want you want to identify it as YouTube, but believe me, if you just organized, the scheme for the color and the black a little bit, this will be like actual YouTube page, like when we talked earlier. So because you can see the red here, it's taking my eyes. First thing, I'm looking to the cards, oh, what's this? So just, it's need just a little bit for the scheme for between the color and between the red and the black, and this will be great.
All right, so we went through all of them.
Yes.
I hope that you guys liked the approach. If not, do let us know about it. Like for any other workshops, we're trying to understand what you would like to hear more, what we should focus on, and these sort of things. So do let us know about all of that. And you do have a link which Sabid already posted in the chat. So all of that is accessible. Now, what's also important is we actually do have to name the winner, right? Because that's kind of the main idea, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Let's have the drum roll. We
Yeah, you
have to
can.
improvise, guys. And the winner is Esther. Woo! So,
Congratulations.
congratulations to you, Esther. You had the best web report that we had in these submissions. For the rest of you guys, like we said, right, don't get discouraged by the fact that you didn't win. I can tell you, I participated in more than 10 or 15 challenges altogether. When I started to participate, I didn't win a single one of them. It's all good because I learned a lot from them. That's the most important thing for me that I was getting from it, right? Don't get me wrong, winning the challenges and getting the benefits is also great, but you can live without them as long as you get something valuable coming from you, from all of that. But yeah, so congratulations to you, Esther. The reports that you submitted are very good. I like also to, like I said in one of the beginning materials, is that I like to see how much you have progressed over the time. That is amazing to watch. So for everybody else, let's also have the report here in the background. And I'm going to quickly check the Q&A section. We do have one question there. So we have a question from Christina. Hi, I ran into issues with when mapping within US where data has cities, zip codes, countries, states, the dashboard maps the wrong state. Have you found workaround for instance like these? It really depends on what visual you're using for that purpose. So I know that with the built-in shape maps, there is issue that you could have, for example, states or different cities in other countries even, because we do have Paris in US and we do have Paris in Paris in Paris, right?
I
So
think
yeah,
sometimes if you add a column of the country before the state or the IB code and the visual allow you to have a country and the state, I think some visual will fix it for you.
yeah. The ultimate kind of solution that I would recommend is always try to always find a way to identify individual locations. So even though you just have, for example, an address or you have a country or you have a specific city, having a longitude and latitude is the best approach because that defines a specific location that you're going towards. It happens when data is just US. Yeah. So I would recommend you to just geocode everything and get the location, the longitude and latitude for all the data points. It does require a little bit more work. Trust me, I get it. A lot of things you do in Power BI do require a little bit more work, but you're going for the end result. And that is one of the ways on how you want to make sure and emphasize and get the Power BI to, kind of identify every single entry in the right way.
Just to encourage you more, really, Christina, I think I just remember a few weeks ago, remember I was doing a map and specifically for a country, and I was stuck there, remember, and I keep calling him, text him, please join me, and he helped me in. Even with the experience we have sometimes, sometimes it doesn't work. You need a help or need someone to guide you through it. So Ivis helped me at this time. Remember this day when you're giving me the map, and then we trying to fix it, and it didn't fix, and we change, the map and the link for the map and everything. So it happened to everyone. Don't worry. Just keep working on it, and sometimes if we have a table of it, the next webinar you can paste it here, and we can check it for you.
Yeah. Definitely. Because one of the things that we do encourage you, and that's why you have the possibility to join those, one-on-one consultations, is there are things which I can easily fix for you and tell you how to do it so you don't have to spend hours upon hours. So what we recommend is when you work on the report, don't freeze yourself on certain things. Try to do something else in the meantime. Schedule a meeting. Or if let's say, if you look at the calendar and you can see the only open slot is after 3 days, but you have to finish the report in 1 or 2 days, well, just write an email. Don't forget that you have all these options. You can write us an email. You can reach the consultation. You can join the workshops. There's multiple ways on how you can ask the questions. We're going to try to answer as many of them as possible. Sure, sometimes, you get 50 of them in a few minutes and you're like, well, that's not going to happen that fast, but we're going to get through them. We're going to give you those replies, and because the end goal for us is to help you build those better reports.
Yes. I agree with you.
I think we had another question from Bimo, right?
We have another question here.
Yep. So how many visuals we can keep in a page? What will be the approach to read and show them to final audience? So for how many questions you would keep in a single page, my usual approach is 3 to 5 visuals. And this is not counting the cards. The cards are something completely else. I do understand that those are visuals in the sense that, that's a visual that you add, but I usually put them in a different category. The cards or KPIs, those are something else, and then you have the actual visuals that allow you to go through different dimensions. So 3 to 5 is my approach.
I think it's depend on what you need to show. I have
Yeah.
in the same report, I have a report. One page has chart visual, pie chart, and a table. And
Yep.
I have another page who contains 6 months. I have 18 visual, not cards. I'm talking about 18 and 18. If you count the cards, it will be almost 45.
Great.
No, but but they ask for it. Like they need
Yeah.
a summary page that you can go through it. And the other page, they just need these 3 things. I need the line chart, I need the pie chart, and I need the table. Don't give me anything else. So
Exactly.
it's depending on the story that you want to tell. It's depending on what the customer or the client asks you to have a specific things inside the page. Okay. So I think it's, as I said, the average, if you don't know information, is 5. 5 will be good.
Yep.
But don't.
Because the main thing. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm telling. Don't feel irritated if someone tell you, no, I need 20, and the other one tell you I need 3. I don't say it's 5. No. 5 here. It's the average when you design the first time. But if he asks you for more, ask you for less, you will just do it.
Yeah. Because I always think about it like this, right? The answer depends on what the customer or the user is looking for. If it's like a summary page where he just wants to see KPIs, he doesn't need that explorational experience. That's a different approach. You're just giving him the numbers. If it's a page where he has an overview, then you go for the overview. You go for the high-level KPIs. You go for the visuals that gives him the control for major units, like, for example, which continent I'm working with, or which region I'm working with, what product segment, and these sort of things. You don't go into those little details. But then for each and every one of them, you create a separate page. One for the region, one for the product segment, one for something else, the team members, for example, or something. So it always depends on what you are going to investigate. Definitely one thing that I would do is whenever you do create a report, give it to some of your, do as I did, right? If you want to, of course. Do it to somebody who doesn't have, for example, a lot of experience also with Power BI. See their reaction. If they can read Power BI and if they can understand it. If the first thing that they notice when they open up the report is going to be like, okay, what the hell am I looking at? They're probably doing something a little bit wrong. Something needs to change there. Either you're not telling them like with titles of the page of what the report is all about, because again, small little things, but without the title, just looking at this, I think we all would agree that it would take me a little bit of time to understand. Oh, we're actually talking about YouTubers. Okay, yeah. Because I could get it by looking at the titles and see, okay, okay, so it's YouTubers. Okay, yeah. But having a title would just save me, half a minute. All right. Anything else? Any other questions, guys? If not, then from my side, please, pretty please, with a cherry on top, with a whipped cream on the side, please try to fill in the feedback form. It would help us to understand if this format for the winner's announcement was okay with you. Did you want something else? Did you think it was, boring as hell? If it is, tell us that. We'll try to figure out how to change it, how to adapt to make sure that these events are informative and actually interesting to attend. Because making a boring event, well, that's not the end goal, right?
Yep.
All right. Other than that, Mohammed, any last words?
Thank you very much, everyone who's now with us live, and congratulations, Esther, for your work, and thank you, really, Ivis, ZoomChart, and everyone for really have me on this webinar, and others. Really, thank you very much. I don't know, really, I'm using Zoom Charts, guys, for a long time now, and thank you. I try to find as many words you know about it, but the only thing in my mind is really thank you very much for this, and thank you for having me here with you in this webinar, trying to really have sharing information with everyone. So and keep going, really, and keep doing it. Don't stop. Don't stop. It's really
That's the most. Just keep going, guys. Right?
yeah.
Don't get discouraged because you can always get some criticism. It doesn't matter how many reports you created. Somebody's gonna have, gonna tell, nah, well, that could have been different. Sure, tell me what could be actually different about it without telling me, well, it just looks bad, right? So keep going, keep pushing, find new ways on how you can improve yourself. Go look at the new blog release, well, the new Power BI release, see what else has come out, and see what you can add on your reports. All right. Have an amazing rest of the day, guys. And I'll catch you in the next workshop. All right.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.